Well, I think, again, coming off a good weekend for us, good win on the road, our first road test, and I thought the guys really responded well. I mentioned it post game. It was a tough week last week practicing, and the most heat we've had all fall camp, and but I thought our guys did good. Came out in the first half, played great. As you go back and watch the film, guys did a really good job with it. Didn't do good in the third quarter. Come out first drive with turnover. Obviously, that's unacceptable, and then finished it off good, I think, with a nice win. So we're excited about getting to go to ACC play now, going on the road down to Tallahassee against Florida State. I know a lot of things have been said in the media and this and that about them. They're still Florida State. They still have a lot of great players, and you turn on the film and you can see it, and you can see how great size, good length, really good speed. For whatever reason, they've not closed it out in the second half of games, but they obviously have a lot of potential to be really, really good. So, we got to have another great week of practice this week, and be ready to go play a tough road game.
Coach, do you know at all if Chihuahua practiced at all this week, or how that might affect?
Well, I think he's a lot better today. I think we're going to take it day by day. We'll see. I would assume that he won't practice tomorrow. But he may come in and be ready to go. I don't know. I mean, he's getting close. I would think he would be able to practice this week, But I think as we sit here today, we'll probably have the same type plan as we did, for the game from last week. Malik will get and Evan both will get all the reps Tuesday, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there.
As much as you want to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, is there a calculation that you have to make with a guy like Tutu who's listed at 153 pounds as far as durability?
Well, I mean, that's part of it, but I think, one of the things we want to do offensively is establish the run. We want to do that. We want to get that going. And sometimes, you're running up in there, you're not getting a whole lot of yards, but you are, making a statement of, hey, we're going to run the football, and then you're going to see how the defense is playing. But we want to get the ball out there to Tutu. There's no question. We like him in space. I think that's where he obviously thrives the best. You don't want to get him in situations where he's matched up with some bigger guys where you can get hemmed up. We want to get him outside against safeties and corners, and he's been very good at that. And he's obviously a big play threat for us. But we got some other guys we need to get the ball to as well, and there's a fine line there. We don't want to put ourselves in bad situations offensively as far as getting off the sticks. And like Saturday, I think we gave up 3 sacks. We want to stay away from that. So the calculation comes in. Can you have time to throw it, and are we going to get this guy one-on-one and free him up? I mean, that's kind of where it comes from. And so as we're looking at the game, that's what we're trying to find.
You mentioned that things have been said about Florida State, and when you see them, they're still Florida State. You're talking about you still see athletic ability, a lot of highly recruited guys, and where they've really struggled is defense. I think they're 120 in the country. Do you see any areas there that where they've struggled the most?
Well, I mean, they've given up a lot of yards, and then second half points. There's as you look at the games like Boise, it was 24-6 in the first half of that game. I looked at Monroe. It's 21-0 Florida State at Monroe in the first half of that game. So I feel like it's a lot of these things have happened in the second half. I mean, I hadn't really broken down the stats to see first half and second half, but I feel like it's in the second half with a lot of these teams just coming back and for whatever reason. And they do. They have some great size up front. They're an odd front team. So 3 down linemen, all 3 guys up front are over 300 pounds and 6'4" or better. Their outside linebackers are 6'5", 260. I mean, they just got a lot of size and a lot of length. And I don't know what's happening in the second half to them. I mean, it's hard to tell, but teams seem like they're starting to move the ball in the second half against them, and they've made some plays. And maybe that's due to their offense. Their offense is first half has put up a lot of good numbers and scored points, and they've gone fast. And maybe, I don't know if that's fatigued the defense. I don't know. But it just as you look at it and just look on paper, it seems like in the second half that's where they've given up their yards, where they've gotten wore down or whatever. I'm not sure.
What about them offensively, Scott? What what do you see out of them offensively?
Well, they go fast. They're a very fast tempo offense. The quarterbacks, played well. They have one of the best running backs in the country. I think he's outstanding. Runs hard, very strong. But what they're trying to do is spread everybody out. They're getting a wide splits with their wide receivers. A lot of vertical routes, trying to get space vertically. And then when you spread out, that's when they hand the ball off to their running back, and he's able to get a lot of good yardage. So we have to be ready for tempo. There's no question about it. I have to practice that all this week of how fast they're getting their plays in, and try to get them off the field. I know they have a lot of good weapons. Their receiver core is really good too. It's fast guys out there where, where they're trying to isolate you in space, where you have a receiver and it's one-on-one with a safety, and now you have to make a great angle tackle there. Otherwise, it'll go to the house. So we got to do a really good job defensively with our angles, staying on top. And then within the box, getting in our gaps in case they do hand the ball off, but because we know how good he is.
Coach, now that you have a little more game film on Malik, what are some things that you hope to clean up and work on during practice before Saturday?
Well, one of the things is, when it's not there, throwing it away. We mentioned this in the post game from last game. Guys that can run. I'm sitting there watching Virginia's quarterback too. He's to me similar. Virginia's quarterback can run around, make plays, and I think when you do that, sometimes you feel like you're never out of the play, and then all of a sudden they're able to get you and get that. And now you're losing yardage. So we got to be able to throw the football away, and then we got to do a better job. I think as coaches, we got to do a better job to help them out with some easier throws to where. Where some underneath throws where, you're catching, you're throwing, you're getting rid of the football right now and not have to do a whole lot with it. If we can help him out with that, I think that'll go a long ways, and that'll keep us on the sticks as well. And but I think in the running game, he did a lot of good things for us. We were able to make some plays in the option game, the running game with the Q runs, as well as in our zone read plays. But I think overall he had a solid game. He really did. The turnover we had was probably where he should have turned it up and not pitched the ball. Tutu dropped it. You ask him, he'll say, I should have caught it, but the pitch. But Malik should have turned that up. But I think overall, pretty solid for his first start. Pretty solid.
You've got to like what your quarterback situation's developing into, don't you?
Yeah, I think proud of Evan, the way he came in, first college snap, put him in a tough bind. His third down, his first play, and he's got to go in there and ask him to throw a pass. And, it was a little bit low. Seth almost made a great catch. But then I think, the second play he comes out, and, we had a shot play called and threw a great ball to Tutu on that one. Looked really comfortable in the fourth quarter playing. I think, if Evan, the more he gets to play, the better he'll be, the more experience he gets. He throws a really, really nice ball, good catchable football. I think, we're sitting here now. All three guys have played. Feel a lot better than initially when we first started the season. We just got to get everybody healthy now. And I think Malik's healthy. I think Malik, after shown, the second half when he played against EKU and then playing, this game here, he's feeling really good now, healthy body. We get Puma healthy now, we'll have three guys we feel good about going in and playing. Yeah.
When it comes to Juwan and Malik and evaluating those two, they're two completely different quarterbacks. How do you go about evaluating them if they have two different kind of play styles?
Yeah, really, but we're still running our offense. They're, because they both have a skill set of running the football. They both can throw it. It's a matter of what are we running when they're in, and they've both done very similar actually as you go back and look at them. They've both had some issues, throwing the football, accuracy, a couple throws, and then a few reads. But they both ran the ball well. In the running game, I think they both have done well with the reads in the running game as far as the zone read type plays that we run. One's just a little bit quicker and one's a little bit bigger, not as fast but bigger. So they both bring something to the table, I think. We're still got to get better throwing. I still think, got to get more comfortable throwing where we feel good about calling some pass plays. And, Fitzpatrick got to find ways to get him the ball. He didn't have any touches the other night. So we got to do a little bit better job with that and making it easier for those quarterbacks.
Where do you see your team fitting into the ACC? It looks like the league's not nearly as strong as it has been in past years. At least after you get past Clemson. So
Clemson's in a different league of their own, I think. Yeah.
So what about your club? I mean,
I think I think it comes down to each and every week. You just stay on that 1 week you have. I think you have to stay focused, and we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. And if we can keep them focused on today, what can I do to get better today? Am I going to show up for treatment when I'm supposed to? Am I going to do the little things right? I think that's kind of where we are as a football team right now, is trying to do the little things right, showing up on time. And sometimes when you're 18, you think, well, why does this really matter? Well, it matters. That's kind of where we are as a team. And I think when you start doing those things, and then the games become easier for you because you're not making those mistakes in games. You're executing to the fullest. And when you do that, you got an opportunity to win. You just look at Virginia. I saw a stat the other day yesterday that Florida State had 45 4- and 5-star guys. Virginia had 1. And that was a true freshman they just signed this year. But Virginia didn't make as many mistakes, and they ended up winning the football game. It was a close game, but they ended up winning the game. So I just think the little things matter. I think that's the thing that you have to get across. And so this is a very competitive league. Each and every week, a team, you don't show up, you'll get beat, I think, and that's been proven. And now when you show up and do the things you're supposed to do, you win the football game. So it's all about the preparation leading up to the game, showing up each and every day, and then that game day execution. I really believe, if you can do that, then you got a great opportunity to win the games. You take them one game at a time, and then you hope at the end of the season what you've done is good enough. And as you look across our conference right now, I think Clemson's played as well as anybody. 18 or 19 straight wins. 14 points, maybe the closest they've been to in those wins. So they're different. They're playing at a different level right now than everybody else.
Last week, Willie Taggart brought in Jim Leavitt as a defensive quote analyst who'd been his coordinator at Oregon, well-respected coach. Do you anticipate them making changes? Does that make it more complicated for you to prepare for them?
Yeah, I think he's probably obviously going to have a huge influence on what they're doing defensively, and and I'm not sure if he did this past game or not. You can kind of tell they were more odd this past game than they have been the first two. So, I'm not sure if that's him being there this past week or not. But obviously, Coach Taggart trusts him and what his opinions, and so bringing him in just gives you another person that's called defenses. That's been a great defensive coordinator in his tenure. Just to give him a little bit more help there, and so we'll see. He's just got there. Week and a half, 2 weeks. We'll see how much impact he'll have this week. Still kind of early as far as time frame goes to have a huge impact, I think. But obviously we'll have an impact.
You mentioned Seth Dawkins, Des Fitzpatrick. They both only have 4 catches through 3 games. What is it that's keeping them from being sort of a larger part of the offense? Is it any one thing, or is it a combination of things?
It's probably a combination. One got 2 games in the AKU game. We caught Des had a play. He slips and falls down. Seth slips and falls down the AKU game. It could have been 2 completions there. We've called their number some, and we've ended up going to another receiver. We just hadn't called a lot of passes either. If you go back and you look at it, we had 16 attempts this past weekend. And then some where Malik took off running and scrambled where we had a pass play called. But I think it's just getting more comfortable with all of us. Calling the plays, the kids executing the plays, making the throws, making the catches. We go back to Notre Dame game. There was probably 4 errant throws and probably 4 or 5 drops. But we're not going out. We're not throwing it 45 times a game. I think if we did that, we're not going to be in these games. We have to play to our strength, what we feel like helps our team out as a football team. I think our defense is playing really, really good right now. I think what we do offensively helps them out. When you're doing that, we're trying to win football games. And if throwing it 45 times would win us games, we would do it. But we feel like if we can run the football, take our shots when we can. I think right now after 3 weeks we're top 10 in the country in big plays offensively. We're making some big plays in there, so we can continue to do that. It gives us a great chance to win football games, but we do want to get them involved. I think they're doing a great job blocking on the perimeter, but they're talented players, and we want to get them involved. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll be able to get those guys some touches.
Scott, you've talked about Juwan's progress, how good Malik looked in his first start this last week. Even if Juwan's healthy this weekend, what do you think about starting Malik?
Well, as I said post game, we're going to play the guy that gives us the best chance to win football games, and I really don't care who it is. I mean, I really don't. I just want to put the guy in there that's going to help us win football games, whatever that is. And so, as you go out through practice, whoever does that does the best job with this game plan. As we move throughout the week, they're going to start, they're going to play, they'll get the most reps. And so, as I said earlier, right now Puma's not healthy, and so we're going to play the healthiest player. So. But we'll evaluate that down the road as whenever all three guys get healthy.
You mentioned in the third quarter they didn't come out and play it like you would like them to. In addition to the turnover, what was you think the cause of that, and what's the lesson to be learned from that?
Well, I think in the EKU game we came out. I think the first play, Hawkins goes down the sideline, big play, kind of got us going momentum. It's amazing how momentum plays a big time effect for these guys, any teams, and so. We come out in the second play, we fumble, we put our defense in a bind right there, and then they end up going and scoring. It's just all about momentum. When that happens, you have to grab it back. We have to go back out and grab it back. And offensively, we just didn't execute. The first three drives in the third quarter, and when you're doing that, your defense is having to go right back out on the field, and it's just never grab that momentum until we hit the long play with 2-2 in the fourth. I think that was into the third. So. You just got to grab the momentum back and somehow just do a lot better job with that. I mean, obviously you can't turn the football over. That was huge, and particularly when you got a good lead like we had. That's sloppy play. We don't want to do that. We want to play a lot cleaner second half.
Tomorrow is the 3-year anniversary of 63-20, Louisville over Florida State. Lamar Jackson may have clinched the Heisman Trophy that day. As a coach operating in another part of the country, do you remember what impression just seeing that score made on you, and how much you knew about Lamar at that point?
Yeah, I can't remember how much I knew about him. I do remember watching highlights of that game. Seeing him make plays was incredible to see how it made, and it looked like incredible atmosphere. All the things that you love about college football, and then him making those plays. Because the perception was Florida State incredible athletes all over the field. And they, probably should win the game. And then you saw how Lamar dominated the game, and you're like, man, he's in a different class. The way he performed that day, and to a point where if you mentioned the Heisman, I mean, I think at that game everybody said, he's a guy, he's a front runner, and probably could win a Heisman this year. And I think incredible performance, and and he really hadn't slowed down. From that point, even till yesterday. I mean, so he's still playing that way. He's fun. It was just fun to watch, and he was fun to watch back when he played here, and he's still fun to watch now. I love watching the guy play. Oh yeah. No, I mean, I tell you, to their credit, they've really performed at a high level. They've gone out and blocked every time we've called the run. They're just as excited in the locker room. If they didn't even, like Fitz was dancing in the locker room, he didn't catch a ball. I love their attitudes. I love the way how they're bringing it every day. I think they want to win. I think that's the bottom line. They want to win football games, whatever what that means. I promise you, there'll come a time where they're going to have to make plays for us, and that's what we talk to them about all the time is. Prepare, like the ball's coming to you, you got to make this play. You got to prepare that way all the time because when it happens, you'll be ready for it. And I love the way their guys are preparing. I know we're going to have to call their number, and there's a great chance it could be this weekend. When their number gets called, they got to make the plays, and so they got to keep their head high and keep rolling and keep going with it because again, they'll have to make plays for us in the future, and they can't get down. But you're right. I mean, as a receiver, you want to get some action. You want to get the ball. I understand that completely, and we want to get them the ball, and so eventually we will. I mean, it'll happen for them.
Lamar's the most prominent one, but you go back to Sam Madison, Jay Gruden, a bunch of guys from Florida have had big impacts at Louisville. How important is Florida in your recruiting scheme going forward?
Yeah, it's important. There's a lot of good athletes. I think it's important for a lot of programs throughout the country. And, just so happened that this school with Louisville has been able to get a lot of great players out of there to come here and perform at a high level. We want to continue to do that. Tutu Atwell's a good example right now, one of the more explosive players out there, from Florida. And so we want to continue to recruit down there and get those players that can come help us win championships. And, we have to be able to do it. And those guys down there, a lot of those guys can play. I mean, they can run, they can play. And it's not just, your skill type players offensively. There's a lot of good defensive players too. So we're going to stay in there and stay in that state and recruit. We'll probably be out recruiting when we go down, this Friday.
Coach, Javion's second in the ACC in rushing. Obviously, you knew he was capable of having a pretty good season. Did you think he was capable of doing this so quickly?
Well, I had hoped so. We kind of going into the season, we knew he could be having a potential to be a really good back, and Hassan too. Really, I mean, both of those guys. I think they're both explosive players. They run hard. I mean, that's the one thing about them. They're not huge guys, but they run hard. They break tackles. That's the thing that's impressed me the most about Hawk is just how he's run through tackles and continue to get a lot of yards after contact. And I think he's one of the better guys in the country with that as well. So, but they're also guys normally that run that hard like that. Maybe can't take it the distance. These guys can take it the distance once they break the line of scrimmage. So. We had anticipated and hoped that we would be able to run the football like we have been, and we're getting into conference play now. So each and every week would be a big challenge for us to run the football, but we still want to keep it going. And we'd love to be able to lead the league in rushing at the end of the season when we look back on this. It's it's a long season, we know that, but we think if we do that, we give ourselves a good chance of winning football games.
Scott,
How does it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we've talked so much about the offense, but the defense, your goal last week was to force turnovers. They did that. So what's the goal for this week?
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. It was a huge planning game right before half when we caused the fumble and Rajay picks it up and scores. I mean, those are big-time plays for us. We won the turnover margin for the first time this year. That's huge. And we start ACC play, we got to be able to do that, give ourselves a chance. Defensively, we've played a lot better this year. I think obviously we've only given up 125 yards rushing a game, and running the football and stopping the run, as I stated before, Notre Dame. We want to continue to be able to do that, and that'll be the theme for all year. If we can do that, make teams one-dimensional, make them have to throw it, and we feel like we'll start getting some of these turnovers in the passing game. We don't have a pick, do we? I mean, 3 games. We got to get some interceptions. So maybe this week we'll get some interceptions, and that'll be big for us. We were close last week on a couple of opportunities, but we did create 2 turnovers. Still got in the backfield a little bit this past week, so we can create some more turnovers. That'll go a long ways for us. Yeah.
Wake up.
Does anything change going into conference season? I mean, does it the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the sense of urgency probably kicks in a little bit more. But our preparation really doesn't change. The way we go about it, where our preparation is on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The same thing that we're trying to do each and every week. It doesn't change. I just think it's conference time now. I just think it just has to be, your senses have to be heightened just a little bit more because. It's in order to compete for this championship. These games mean something now. You have to win these games in order to try to compete for this championship. And I think, first game, tough road test, going to usually a team that's always ranked in the top 25 year in and year out with great athletes, a great challenge for our guys. Man, we're excited. We're excited to go play this game and really looking forward to this week. All right, thanks, guys.